All right, Magella, I am going to hit the record button. Go to this computer. Cool. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Connections and Conversations. So human connection is the most powerful, immune-boosting, health-promoting tool that you have. And I'm delighted you're joining us today or watching us on replay. And if you are watching us on replay, please pop replay in the comments just below our video. So I get to connect today and chat with this open, says it as it is, very warm lady, Magella Rowe, who is a specialist in the area of relationships. Hi, Magella.
Hi, how are you, Sinead? Thank you for
Good.
inviting me
Thank you
along
so
today.
much. Thank you. A lot of the focus of my work in normal circumstances is on the physical in order to impact the mental emotional. But now my focus is more on impacting the physical via the mind. And I'm starting my Life is Short, Feel Free Now program on Monday the 18th. And there are 2 seats left, ladies, if you're interested. It's about working on mental fitness or training our brain so that we more automatically feel more positive about things than that kind of default negative mechanism. And I'm doing a Facebook Live later on today on that. So don't worry about it right now. Today, it's much more important for me to tell you about Magella, a little bit about Magella. Because what Magella does is unique, because I've seen Magella, I've watched Magella, and it's all about relationships and coaching around relationships from my understanding. So I'm really looking forward to hearing you explain how you connect with people through your work, because the connection that develops between you and your clients, and in turn anybody that they then come into contact in their family and, you know, outside in the world when we go out these days, is the gift that you give to people. It actually, the person that you see has a ripple effect on so many more people. So Magella, can you please tell everyone what you're trying to achieve with the people that in the work that you're doing?
Well, as I said, thank you for inviting me along. It's delighted to be here today. So really, to sum up what I do is simply, I support people to have happy relationships. And what happens is people come to me, especially my one-to-one clients, and they come along with different problems, different issues that's going on in their relationships. So I'll just maybe give you an example. And a lot of the stuff that I'm finding is that people are actually afraid to have conversations in their relationships. And I'm not just talking about with their partners, I'm also talking about with their children, with their work colleagues, and so on, so forth, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens is, these are the conversations that I call the game changers, because these are the conversations that we need to be having. So I'll give you an example. This lady came along one time and she's basically in a relationship for 4 years. Mm-hmm. Waiting and wondering when she's going to be proposed to. So instead of having the conversation, she's hanging around and letting her partner make the decision. So when eventually she does get to the point to make the decision that she has to say because she can't go on any longer, when she says it, he said, but I told you from the outset that I was never going to get married. So what happens then is the relationship is over and she then has to toddle off and feeling so upset, so disappointed and having regrets that she feels that she's wasted almost 3 years, because if she'd asked the question in the first place, she'd have known the answer. So that's just one example of what happens. So if we don't have these conversations, what happens is they continue and they grow and they get bigger. Okay. And as I said, this is in all areas of our lives. So if we can have these conversations, we're going to have a much clearer understanding of where we're going and what we want. And how we do that is by feeling good in ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that's where the coaching comes into it. Because we start to explore our minds, why we feel the way we feel. Because some of us are going around every day, you know, disappointed with ourselves, feeling no good, thinking we're not good enough for this or that. And this is the area that we really need to tap into. And once we tap in there, this is what gets us the results.
Mm-hmm. And do you find as well, Magella, that people who are in longer term relationships, who've been in relationships for years, that they do this that this impacts the relationship the whole way through their lives, and it impacts all their relationships.
Absolutely. Because if you think about it, if you're dying to say something or you're not sure, you're letting it fester. And, this comes out then in your work, it comes out in your family situations, it comes out everywhere because you need to release it somewhere. And as you well know, what about your health? This is a huge effect on your health because we need to be releasing this stuff and getting it out and saying what's on our mind. And the more honest and truthful we can be in our relationships, well, then we're all clear. We all understand and we know where we're going. So when you actually explore, because the saying I have is everything starts with you. It's not about somebody else or blaming the world or blaming the people out there. It's back to you. What can you do? And once you take responsibility, you're in charge of your life. And when you're in charge, there's no better place to be.
And do the people that you work with then, do a lot of them, does that come from a place of fear, or where does that come from?
Yes, I think we work off two emotions in life. One is love. And if it's love, we're flowing. We're feeling free. We're speaking kind words to ourselves. We're being nice to ourselves. We're doing what we enjoy, what we love to do. So there's no conflict going on. But in most cases, we're operating from fear. And with fear, we're talking jealousy, greed, anger, comparing ourselves to others. Not being able to speak up. All these things is where it comes from. And as I said, once we tap into this and find out, because this all probably stemmed from our beliefs, the beliefs that were passed down from generation to generation, which we don't own half these beliefs. We took them unconsciously. We have to explore them and look and try and see, can we find any evidence? In most cases, we don't find the evidence. But we still go around with this belief, and this has a huge impact on our lives. So if you're going with the thought of I'm not good enough versus I'm great, you have a completely different path to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think in Irish society that it's kind of, it's come down through generations how we communicate, and we really didn't start expressing ourselves. I say it's only in the last kind of 20, 30 years that people are getting much more vocal and stand up for themselves, and they're losing that fear. But for some people, that is still there. They still have this kind of, I suppose, what I would see as a limiting belief, kind of putting unnecessary limits on yourself when you're just as good as everybody else around you. And I think most people know deep down that they are, but they're just not quite sure how to be that or how to be that person. And I think that's where what you do is really, really helpful, because when somebody comes to work with you, then they find, or they grow their awareness around, oh my God, I really believed that, but is that actually true? And start questioning the beliefs that they've had with your help and with your guidance. At least is that kind of how some of it works?
Yeah, that's exactly it, because some of us don't have any awareness around ourselves, right? And it's really down to self-awareness, self-talk, and self-care. That's really the way it works, right? And if you have awareness of yourself, you get to realize and see how you act, how you respond, how you react to people, and your thoughts and your feelings. So what are you feeding? What information are you feeding into your mind, right? So if you get to see that, it's only then that you have the actual opportunity that you can change. You can put something different in there. Or you can, it's like we entertain the thought, we let it in, but just let it go. Like the clouds, let it pass. And then distract yourself with something. But like what we forget is, Sinead, these are our unique bodies. This is what we have to bring us on our journey to the end. And this is where putting the time, investing in yourself, investing in your mind, is exactly how you will have the benefits in life and the reward, how you will start to feel good about yourself. That's really the bottom line. And if you're feeling good about yourself, everything else comes with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think that some people, that fear is so huge. You know, they kind of, how can, because they're so used to looking, particularly women, are so used to looking after everybody else that they don't, they don't think that they should look after themselves first, and that actually in a family, or particularly in a family situation, oftentimes it's the woman that, I suppose, that takes care of everyone. And if she does, if you're not grounded in yourself, and if you don't have that confidence and self-belief, then your relationships are going to be very difficult, all your relationships. So whilst because I think sometimes, or at least this is what people have said to me, is that they feel as though they're being selfish if they start looking after their own needs, even though you need to do this. It isn't being selfish, or if it is being selfish, so what? So what? Because otherwise you can feel resentful, and like you said, angry, and all these other kinds of feelings, and then you start making stories up in your own head that it's everybody else around you that's the problem, and you're being so lovely and you're trying to look after everyone. But if you don't look after yourself, how are you going to look after anybody else? And I don't mean in terms of taking on their, how they feel and things like that, but I mean, obviously you have to look after your children, but there's a lot of extra pressures at the moment, isn't there, with homeschooling and
Absolutely.
challenging relationships there. what do you think
Absolutely.
what do you think about all this homeschooling stuff, and all families being stuck in a house together? And, well, stuck maybe isn't the right word to choose, but what do you think about that? What have you been hearing about
Well,
that?
there's two things there, right? First is that it's really hard to pour out love from an empty love tank yourself. If you haven't got it in there, how can you give it? It's not possible. And even if it's only taking that 10 minutes to get out for a walk, or have a, have a shower or whatever, something for you. And it's funny you mentioned this, because last night I was doing my workshop, and what came up was homeschooling. And there was two ladies who are obviously homeschooling with 3 children each or whatever. And they were just so exhausted. But when we were chatting about it, what you focus on is what you get. Now, this is a difficult period, but if you start the day with gratitude in having healthy, happy children in front of you, don't take it too serious. The homework will come and be done when it's meant to be done. There's other ways of learning. You can learn through playing games. You can learn through helping while you're making the food. Include the children, get them involved in the different things that's going on. Just make it, connect with them, and keep the connections going.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think particularly the food thing that you just brought up there, and kids, they love, well, particularly the younger ones, definitely, they love to be included in this, like just giving them little small jobs, because they feel like then they almost feel like they cook the meal themselves. But it also strengthens that relationship, because it's like you're putting your trust in them, and you're building their confidence as well, and you're letting go of kind of having to control everything that's going on around you. So I love that. I love when people include their kids and get them interested in food, and what does this do for your body? And you can teach your kids about these are important skills for them to have as they're growing up. You don't just go to the supermarket and buy it cooked coming out of the packet, and what's good for you, and real food is what's good for kids. And anyway, that's kind of another passion of mine around nutrition and how you introduce it to your kids. But tell me, what are the changes that you observe then in the people as they progress through your workshops? What differences do you see?
Well, first of all, people can come and they're maybe overwhelmed, or they don't see, because it's all connected to changing their thinking. And once you look at something in a different way, automatically something is going to change. And I'm just going to give you an example of one of my regular clients. And what's really good now is that people are starting to see that checking in with their coaches, whatever it is, on a monthly basis is now becoming a necessity. It's like going to the hairdressers or getting your nails done or whatever. Now it's like a mental declutter once a month. But this particular lady came to me one day, and she's a working mom, 2 children, working full time, running a household, the average what most people are doing. And she was overwhelmed because she just didn't know where her time was going. And one of her children was really acting up, especially in the mornings, when you're trying to get them out. So anyway, we had a look at where she was now. and where she needed to be. And when we actually looked at the distractions, the unproductive time spent every day, and where she was losing concentration,
Mm-hmm.
we're actually able to sort out 2 half-hour sessions for each child in the week, one-to-one quality
Brilliant.
time. Right? And that's the benefits of stepping out of overwhelm to actually do something about it. And this is what she gets. And once that came in, it's funny, the behavior has changed, and the kids are now every Tuesday and Thursday saying, Mum, today's our quality time day, don't forget. So it's brilliant. They're now telling her what to do.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
Anything is possible if you become aware.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes, and I think it's brilliant what you just said, because I think sometimes people think, oh my God, I'm such a failure. I can't go to somebody and say, you know, I'm finding this difficult or I'm finding that difficult, because we think we have to be superhuman or superwoman, which is just ridiculous. And having somebody, it's not that somebody is kind of saying, oh yes, that's wrong and that's wrong. It's more like, here's where you can make changes. It's really helping people. It's kind of, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And all the suggestions that you can provide people with, because you see as an objective person as opposed to a subjective person. It's like, you know, somebody in my family tells me to do something and I'm like, Whereas if I'm speaking with a coach, it's a completely different experience. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and with a coach as well, Sinead, it's not that I tell somebody what to do. I'm really asking them questions to get the information from them, because me telling them won't have the same effect as them coming up with their own ideas. Now, I can take my coaching hat off and say, well, this is something I might try. I don't know if that'll work for you, but it's up to the client to come up with their own ideas. That's really important.
That's really interesting, because that's a lot more empowering than saying, do this, 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 and this. I suppose there's sometimes, certainly in my work, where I'd give recommendations, and then have conversation around that. So it's not this kind of dictator type of person, you know, saying you have to do this. But it's more, I suppose, about explaining why this might have an impact in this area of your life, and just working it out, I suppose, in a partnership type of relationship.
Yeah, it's like me being the guide. I'm there to hold you, to support you, to encourage you, to motivate you. But I'm not going to tell you what to do, because if you think about it, nobody knows what's right for you, only you. And that's why we can go out and get all the information, all the advice, and then sit with it and decide, okay, that's my gut, that clicks with me now.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, as you know, I'm in the business of health, and I want people to realize that it's so much more than diet and exercise. So, as a woman, Majella, what does health mean to you?
Well, for me, it starts with mindset, because I'm all about the mind, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, if you get the mind right, if you're talking to yourself with kindness, with love, encouraging yourself, you're automatically going to start liking yourself. You're going to start doing what you enjoy to do. And once that happens, looking after your body with diet and exercise becomes automatic. Because it's not a necessity anymore. It becomes a necessity. It's not a should, because you have to do it. You want to look good, you want to feel good, and you're telling yourself all this. Whereas on the other hand, if you're not liking yourself, if you're lying around and you're not motivated or whatever, why would you bother going for more? You have to like yourself at least before you get into it. So that's what health is. The rest of us.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to switch this completely now, and I'm going to grant you a wish. And this is my favorite part of the interview, or the connection, should I say, not the interview. What would be your biggest wish? And it can be personal or business or whatever you like yourself. Or you can have 2 wishes.
Okay. Well, I would wish that I could reach out to more people, because I think there's a lot of people out there who are finding it difficult at the moment. And I would really love to tell them that if you do make that first step to whoever, and it could be just a family member or a friend or whatever, to talk, that there is a solution to the problem. It's out there. But you've got to find the courage to take the first step. So to reach out to more people and to be able to talk to people in all walks of life, and even it's simple words like, how are you? And really listen to the answer. Don't just say it for the sake of it. Listen to it. It's the little things like, please, thank you, I'm sorry. These are the things that make all the difference to people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
to reach out and to get more contact and to keep looking at people with more loving, caring eyes in a non-judgmental way. I think I would love to see much more of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, empathy. Empathy. Love that word. So, and what about yourself? Anywhere you'd love to, you know, we're all dreaming at the moment of holidays and things like that in our future. Any of those kind of dreams, would you like to travel, or are you more of a home bird, or what would you?
No, I love my holidays, I have to say. Found it very difficult last year having to cancel one or two holidays, but look, it'll all pass and come back again.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, we would regularly head off to nice countries for different breaks. Also love Ireland. I actually discovered Donegal last year. It's been a long time since I've been in Donegal, but my God, that's definitely a little hidden gem up there.
It's beautiful. And there's also lots of...
I asked my husband
Sorry,
last night, I said, do you want to block book something in the diary for our holidays this year? And he looked at me and said, what? And I said, well, you know, at least we have something to look forward to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. God, yeah. I love Donegal as well. And I've only been there a couple of times, but it's so vast and you get these beautiful beaches where there's nobody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And the people are amazing as well.
Yeah, really, really friendly. Lots of, yeah, they entertain me, like lots of music. And that's kind of when I think about Donegal, I think about that. Okay, so can you tell us then about where people could find you on social media? Or first, actually, can you tell us about any workshops you're running or any events that you have coming up, Majella?
Okay, so
and where people can contact you as well.
No problem. So what I'm doing, I have a lot of one-to-one coaching clients. I love my one-to-one coaching clients because I can really get to the time and really dig deep. I'm also running a workshop at the moment. It actually started last night. So I met a nice new bunch of people last night, and it's called Saying It with Confidence. And again, this is following into the relationships where I spoke to you earlier about where people are finding it difficult to have these conversations. So this is why I'm doing these workshops, to help people and give them new tools and techniques to be able to have these conversations. The game changer conversation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I currently do some talks as well. Obviously, they're all on Zoom now. I have one I'm working on for a company for next week. But in general, it's my one-to-ones are really the icing on the cake for me. But I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and I have a few videos on YouTube, which I've put up in the last year or so. So if anybody is out there and would like some relationship tips, or you know, we're all locked up, we need a little bit of space. But maybe if you were to subscribe and listen to some of the videos on YouTube, you might just hear what you want to hear at the right time.
Absolutely. And is it Majella Rowe? Is it it's your name, Majella? Is it that, that you're on those? Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Is there anything I didn't ask you today that you'd like to add?
No, I think you've covered a huge amount. And thank you so much for your time, Sinead. I'm not used to interviews like this, so this is really another step out of my comfort zone. So I really appreciate you inviting me along today.
Oh God, you're
it's all about
so
learning and growing.
Absolutely. And it's hilarious because for, you know, the people that are watching us and stuff, you know, we all just learned this. It's all happened really over the last year, I suppose, or the last couple of years, that we're all going on video and building our confidence on video as well. So it's brilliant. I'm just so delighted that you came on today. And I've seen some of your videos, which are really good quality. So I would definitely recommend people who've been watching Majella today to go and have a look there. Majella Rowe on YouTube, and she's also on Facebook and everywhere else that she just said there. I'll be sharing this video everywhere anyhow. And so that's it for today, Facebook. Bye. Thank you so much.
Be safe. Thank you.
Okay, let me just move off.